So Nam aloha, everybody. Welcome to the live stream. I'm just going to put up the comments to see who is here. And funnily enough, but not a surprise, that my computer crashed just as I was about to go live, and we are in the shadow of corruption. So anyway, lucky for you and me, I have the gift of commitment, so I don't give up so easily. You know. Okay, great. So if you could just write down your name and where you're logging in from, that'd be great if you feel called, and then I'll start talking. So welcome to the full moon, right? The full moon in Libra that's happening tomorrow. So I was at the ocean last night, and it was so beautiful. The moon, right? It looks like it's full already, and yeah, it's going to be quite something, right? This energy of the full moon in Libra, and it's all about our relationships, right? Our relationships or lack thereof. Okay, so I'm going to dive right into. Actually, I just want to do a little review of what's going on for us as a humanity. I may do a little video because I don't like repeating myself. So we're evolving, right? We're evolving from experiencing life through the mind, like we're evolving as a species. This is a real thing, and this is why we're seeing all this chaos out in the world. So we're evolving from experiencing life through our mind, right? And we're evolving from that into what's called a solar plexus mutation. So we're evolving into an emotional awareness system. This is coming online. This is connected to the enteric nervous system, the second brain, right? Our gut, right? And from that, after all this emotional purification takes place, then we will be in spirit awareness. So this is living life from frequency, So we've got a lot of emotional purification work to do. There's a lot of ancestral memories that are releasing, and that's why we're seeing all these timelines out in the world. It's like deja vu, right? All these events, and they're all coming from the collective, right? The collective unconscious. So what we see out there is actually going on in the collective unconscious. Okay. So my intention with these live streams, and my intention overall is not, because sometimes astrology can be like, oh, I get to control, right? I get to know what's going on, and then I can control. This is about evolution, and what I'm pointing you to is your shadow work to do. Okay. So that's the key, right? Is shadow work. So shadows are not to be afraid of. We're so fearful, and we be taught, especially from the New Age community and religion, to fear the shadow and disown it. And it's something that's not connected to me at all. That's not true. It's coming from each one of us, these shadows. But there's great power in those shadows, right? When we embrace them, they're like lumps of coal, right? Lumps of coal, and you get in there, and out comes the diamond, right? So you need to get really good with your emotional body, right? This is really key right now. And the shadow and the emotions and the ego, they all are together, but the secret is just to feel the emotions that come with the shadows, and they all come from your ancestors, our ancestors. We've inherited them, right? And this is what the chart shows us, right? Your unique chart. Okay, so that's what I want to say about that, right? Bottom line: own your shadows right now, and don't run away from your emotions. Right? There's great wisdom in your emotions. It's like intuition. I was meditating on that today. Intuition, we think of the third eye opening, and we're listening, right, to our higher self, right? We're getting information that way. But if your heart is closed, you're not getting correct information, because the ego can get in there and hijack your intuitive messages. You need this open. You need your heart chakra open, right? Because that's the translator. Have you got Google Translator? That's your Google Translator, is your heart. So you really need your heart open, because the ego can't live in that space, you know? It can't live in the heart space at all. And then you're getting correct information. So you may say, well, my intuition, wait a minute, Michael, my intuition was saying to get rid of this, my present relationship, just to keep on the Libra theme, right? My present relationship, he's toxic, he's not good for me, right? I feel so crappy around him. And my intuition said, get rid of him. Well, your intuition's not going to speak like that, right? It's not, that's the ego. Your intuition is going to speak like, you need to stand up for yourself. You need to stand up to this man, like right now. And it comes from a place of self-love. Do you see the difference? One is the ego is like, it's separation, right? It's disowning your spiritual lesson. Your intuition knows. Your intuition's connected to your higher self. It knows what your destiny is, right? So this is why opening the heart is so key right now. And I know it's difficult, right? It's difficult and it's challenging. It's probably one of your biggest challenges in life is to keep your heart, is to go in there and open the heart again from childhood, right? And to live that way, and to live that way. Okay, but we'll talk more about that when we go through the signs. So I just want to acknowledge the people that are here. Awesome. TPOT, power of thoughts. So true. We'll be talking about that. Bradley from Oklahoma. Awesome. Satnam. DC. Fortuna, California. I'm trying to think. I think I was there once on a road trip. North Hollywood. Awesome. We got Libra rising right on. Vancouver. I'm assuming Vancouver, Canada. Minnesota, Arizona, awesome. South Florida, London. Hey, Lily, nice to see you. It's late in your neck of the woods. And then LA, and more people are joining in too. Okay, so let's talk about this shadow of corruption that the full moon is in. So I just want to share my screen here, just so you can see the chart. It's good to have visuals. I like visuals. Scenes. Me in the chart. There we go. And I'll go up here. Me in the chart. That's not right. Me in the images. No. Not me in the zodiac. Okay. And we'll just get it. One day I'm going to get used to this. Okay, we're going to turn these off. Okay, we'll make me a little bit bigger. Okay. I just want to lock this up. Scenes. So are you feeling the energy? So much about our relationships. It's just crazy. So some are coming in, right? And some are going out. Relationships. So remember that the ones that are going, don't cling to them. You know, you can feel the energy when a relationship is lost. It's lost, its potency. Do you know what I mean? It's just like it's going. You can feel it going, but people want to cling to it because it's the known, right? They don't want the unknown. But when that's leaving, just trust that the new relationships are coming in that are much more aligned with you and your soul journey. And they may be quite different than you're used to, because we're all going for an upgrade. The ones that are choosing, you know, to do their spiritual journey and walk their path, you know? So just trust that. Some are going, some are coming in. It's like musical chairs, right? That's what's happening with the universe right now. Musical chairs. Okay. So you can see this is the chart of the full moon. And let's just take a quick boo at the chart. Which is really interesting, is you got this, if you can see my mouse pointer, you've got the 60 coming off this is the root chakra into the sacral, the 63. So that a gate makes a channel. That's the channel of mutation. So humanity, and it's Pluto in the 60, and then we've got the sun. So the sun's activating Pluto, and Pluto's great transformation, psychological transformation, out of our limitations, right, into our innocence. So this is the channel of mutation. So this is like the quantum leaps. You know, you may have experienced that yourself in your life, like just like suddenly it's just like you're a different person. You know, like the things that you used to put up with, you can't put up with anymore. It just brings massive change, like really, really quickly. So that's really interesting. That's going on. And then the nodes up here. So the green shape there is the ajna, and that's our personal mind, and then the throat chakra. So the 4323, and this is this is called the Freak the Genius channel. And this is gives you great insights, right? So we're in this nodal axis for a while. This is Taurus and Scorpio. I did a video on that. If you want to learn more about that, just search it on my YouTube channel. Okay, so that's going on. And then we've got, I always like to keep my eye on this 55 too, because this is going through a huge mutation for 2027. And this is Victim, the shadow of Victim, that's being released. And it's a good idea to have your chart, like get your human design chart. You can get a free one at jovianarchive.com. I always have it in my information box. And just you'll be able to see, like, because you'll be really impacted if, like, say you got the 4323, you're going to feel it doubly so. So back to this 55 in Pisces, and Mars is in there. Right? This is activating that shadow of Victim, and right, to let that go. And what's the gift? It's freedom. It's freedom. So this one's going through a huge mutation for 2027. So I like to keep my eye on what planets are hitting that 55, right? Activating it. It's a big one, right? For the solar plexus mutation. So then you can see the moon here, right? It's got 50.1, and then it's down here, and this is the spleen, where the heart, like that's my symbol, a little heart there, so you can see where it's coming from. So that's the splenic awareness system, right? And this is the ancient awareness system. This is our instinct, right? It's our instinct. And so the 50's coming off that. And so it's part of this, if the 27 were activated, that would be the channel of values. So it's about our values, right? What we value. So let's talk about corruption. And what I wanted to say was, like everything, it said that everything in the Aquarian age, nothing can be hidden anymore, right? So this is why we're seeing so much corruption. So I want you to remember to change your point of view, that 4323, like your frame of reference, that it's not about out there, because what we do as humans, we want to, we need to get rid of those corrupt politicians. We need to get rid of the corruption in the medical system and all that, right? We just need to get rid of those people. It's not a personal thing. It's not about the people. It's about the consciousness. So the people disappear. It's like a revolving door. There's just a new person that comes in and expresses that consciousness of corruption. So what does that mean? It means that it's coming from inside of us. That's the source of the corruption, right? The corruption. So bear with me, and we'll break this down so you understand, because we're going to see it. We're going to look at how this affects you, like this full moon, because it's going to bring great illumination, right, for you in one particular area of your life. This is your shadow work, right? Your shadow work. So corruption means that in this sense of the word, it means that we're all corrupted, right? And what's the corruption? Is we have a virus. We do have a virus, and it's wrapped around our DNA. And it's our karma. It's our karma. So we all come into the earth plane with karma, right? This is our ancestral baggage. And it corrupts our true nature, right? It corrupts our authenticity, because we're supposed to be happy and joyous and creative beings. That's our natural state. But this karma corrupts, right? Corrupts us. So our whole purpose in life is to identify these corrupted programs, right? This is what awakening means. We're identifying these corrupted programs. These are shadows. These are shadows. So you may, like for an example, in our past lives, we may have followed our hearts, right? And then we experienced betrayal, but we didn't learn our spiritual lesson from that lifetime. So we come in not trusting our hearts, right? Not trusting our hearts, and we shut down. We shut down. So we choose partners for different reasons, right? We don't choose partners for love. We choose partners for status or for money or for what they can give us, right? Not what we can give them. And then we end up in loveless marriages, right? A loveless partnership, because you're driven by your karma. Do you see how this works? And then that other person is driven by their karma too. You know, I want the trophy partner or whatever. You see that all the time out in the world. So we'll experience betrayal in that lifetime too. And this happens all over and over. This is the wheel of samsara, right? Over and over and over until you get the lesson, right? But it's in us, right? And it's passed down through not just your lifetimes, but your ancestors too, right? You know, so your ancestors could have been choosing the wrong partner, like your mother, your grandmother, and on and on and on. So it's like a corrupted file in the computer, right? It just keeps replicating itself until you wake up, right? So this is what this full moon in Libra can really wake us up to, what, like, illuminate what's going on in our life and what needs to change. We may not even be aware of it. So you want to dig this out. You want to dig it out this month, right? And bring it into the light, right? The light of awareness. That's who you are. That's your true nature. And then you start a new way. And it's always the new way. Evolution's always a new way. It's uncomfortable. You got to face your fears. But on the other side of that is you, right? Joy, happiness, growth, evolution. That's what we all want, right? This is awakening. This is awakening. So the gift with this 50 is harmony, right? So bringing things into balance, bringing yourself into balance. And really happiness, like the definition of happiness to me, is a balance of energy. Authenticity is a balance of energy. The inside, the outside match, for instance. So things are coming into balance for you. So this corruption, just to use this, right, this word, corruption, the shadow, it's the root of these karmic patterns, right? So what we have to battle, because there's always a battle with every shadow pattern, is resignation, right? Resignation, wanting to give up. So we see this shadow out on the world stage right now, right? All the politicians, they seem to have sold their souls long ago for money, right? Our food sources supply is corrupt with GMO foods and things like that. Mainstream media, right? It's just a propaganda tool for corporations. Our health system's corrupt. We're just swimming in the shadow pattern right now. So it can make people feel resigned to the, well, this is just how it is. Like, that's what I was taught by my parents when I started questioning the system. I'm like, I didn't buy into this. Like, why do I have to agree to this? This is what I was saying as a teenager. And my parents thought I was crazy. Where are you getting those ideas from? My mother used to say to me all the time. But they were coming from inside me, right? And what was I going to say with that? Oh, they would just say, well, this is just the way it is, right? It's just the way that it is. We have no power to change this. It's just a system. So this is the resignation, right? So the shadow wants you to give up, right? Give up in your life wherever there's that corruption. But like I talked about, like trying to solve the problem of corruption on the external. It's like, gardening, you're cutting your weeds, right? It's not going to work. The weeds will just come back, right? You got to go right and pull it right from the root. And the root is inside of us, inside of humanity. And don't underestimate the power of the individual to change the world, right? We're all connected. As soon as you start waking up and dealing and integrating the shadow of corruption, for example, you start sending clear frequencies out to the human field, right? That's going to affect everybody, every single person. So don't ever underestimate your power as an individual. So the Libra full moon is showing you that you have a karmic weed of corruption within you, right? And it's in your DNA. So it's going to show you where to look, and it's going to be a surprise for people. And maybe you already got the surprise, right? So this is a true blessing. So the karmic wheel, the wheel of samsara, right? We have an opportunity here, but it takes spiritual effort. It takes spiritual work, and people are spiritually lazy, right? They want to be busy, busy, busy on the external world. They don't want to go inside and deal with what they're actually feeling, right? And you can't make change out there. It has to come from inside you. It has to come from inside you. So it takes courage to face your fears and do something different, right? So you have to want it. You got to really want it. And you need to get out of this gravity of the victim consciousness, right? Wanting to give up. So you need courage and perseverance and vigilance and taking a stand for truth. No matter if everybody around you is corrupt, right? Living in an illusion, right? You stand for the truth. And then what's going to happen for you, if you're called, right? It can't come from your mind, but when you're feeling that, like there's so much illusion around me and corruption, I'm gonna that's not right, that's all you. But it comes from inside you. So when you do that, you experience this great force within you, because that's truth, right? Frequency of truth. It's not something you figure out, this is right or wrong. Truth is a frequency, right? And that's what the universe is truth. It's vibrates at the frequency of truth. And that's what we're coming back to for the Aquarian age. So this great force, it may be just you facing hundreds of people in a corporation, but know that when you stand for the truth, you've got the whole universe behind you, right? Because you're in that frequency. So you want to identify, right, the shadow of corruption, and you want to remove it, right? And you want to insert new habits. And this takes time and patience. It's like, broken records. Remember records? Broken record, and the needle gets stuck in a groove over and over and over again, right? It takes time, pressure, patience to lift it up and put it into the next groove. Got to correct again. So if we give into these negative forces of the shadow, we're going to return to a place of deep suffering. And you may be experiencing that yourself. I know this, right? My intuition will tell me something and I'll try to ignore it because I know, it's going to bring up so much fear, and my mind starts racing with all the negative things that could happen, right? And you just want to ignore it. It takes you into like a deep suffering, like a funk, where you feel depressed and sad, right? And that's showing you that that pull, the gravity of the negative forces of the shadow is pulling you down, right? So you'll know by how you feel, right? If you're on the right path or not. So just to not give up, no resignation. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to really pushed for something new in my life, right? And then you'll be rewarded. You'll totally be rewarded by how you feel, right? Okay, so that's what I got to say about corruption. And I just want to look at the comments quickly here. Okay. Virgos. Oh, great. Diana, right on, Diana. Be spreading your truth on that one. She says, my higher self helped me to leave a toxic relationship. So much happier now. And that's the thing, right? When we face our fears and it's like, you choose self-love, and then you get on the other side of it and you're like, why didn't I do this years ago? Like, why did I wait so long to be happy? It's like we're addicted to our misery in a way. Or we get into poverty consciousness too. Like, this is the best that I can do, especially if you're with a narcissist, because they'll reflect that back to you. You know, you're not going to get anything better than me, baby. That kind of talk. Okay. Okay, New York is here. Awesome. Okay. So let's go to Aquarius. I like to start off with Aquarius because they're really representing for the Aquarian age. So this is also echoes what we're all going through as a collective. Okay, let me get my zodiac signs here. Okay. I made the live stream a little bit earlier, so I hope that works for people. Works for me around this time too. I have my whole morning routine. So okay, Aquarius. There we go. Oh, I got it locked. That's why. Do Aquarius. Aquarius. Okay, I got my cards ready. And my... Okay. So Aquarius, I think it's the 9th house, but let me double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9th house. So corruption. So we're looking at ancestral programs, right? For Aquarius in the collective that squelches our faith and our optimism. So this is a corrupt frequency, right? Losing our faith. Are we not seeing that in the world? Losing our faith, losing our optimism. It's about spirituality, right? Too. So remember, it's the full moon, so it's going to really bring out those programs into the light, and everything's coming into balance. Remember, harmony. So I see this as really positive for the collective, but like becoming more aligned. Like this 50-27, this is about our values, right? Becoming more spiritual in our values. I mean, this is the biggest problem. The problem isn't the environment and even the corruption per se. Like the real problem, the root of the problem is spiritually, right? We're impoverished spiritually as a humanity. So this is bringing us back in alignment to spiritual values and harmony. And it's also about intuition, right? The 9th house is also intuition. So people becoming more intuitive, right? Using their intuition more. And this is for Aquarius too. And I talked about that intuition at the beginning in the intro of you really need the Google Translator open. And that's your heart. Your heart chakra has to be open to translate your intuition. If you're just using your mind, then the ego can get in there and fool you that it's your higher self speaking, right? And sabotage you. Yeah. Okay, I think I want to do cards, and then we'll bring it all together for Aquarius, and just put in the comments of your Aquarius sun, moon, or rising. And so I use, they're called ego cards. They're connected to the Course in Miracles. I did the Course in Miracles back in 2015, 2016. I don't know if there's any Course in Miracle people out there, but there's a lot of good stuff in there around the ego. Understanding our ego. And we really need to start understanding our egos. Ego is not your amigo, right? Okay. So what's Aquarius and the collective have to know for their ego and the lies the ego is telling? Okay. Oh, this is good. So this is the taking, and not the last video or the video before this came up. So taking. So he's surrounded by sycophants. He's like a, rock star type. He looks like Bob Dylan to me. because the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction is in the 36. That was my last video that I did, if you want to learn more about that. And for the collective, it's in the second house. So that's all about money, right? So there's a lot of fears. Turbulence is just fear. There's fear moving through the collective of humanity. And remember, fear is a frequency. It's where we get into trouble is when the mind takes and hijacks that frequency and then creates a story, a nightmare about it, right? So that's happening. So people are they're having fear around money. Like, how am I going to survive? This is food too. Second house is food. And second house is just all about survival, right? And then it's like the ego gets in there and it's like with this taking energy, right? How can I exploit this situation, or how can I exploit this person so I can get money, or how can I it's density, right? You just lower yourself in frequency and not trusting the divine with this taking energy. So this is like spiritual people have to really look at this closely. And Aquarius, right, is where am I giving to take, right? That's the one to really identify. Where am I giving to take? What do I want? I want something back. I'm giving. Because some people are like, oh, I'm doing seva, right? Seva is selfless service. And it's just coming from my heart and blah, blah, blah. And as soon as they don't get what they want, like ego, because the ego wants an outcome, like, oh, you're a really good person, or thank you so much, you're so wonderful, you're a saint, right? That if they don't get that back, out comes the ego and gets angry and resentful, right? So you've got to watch that. If you're feeling resentful, or drained, because some people can feel that too, drained from selfless service, that's a sign. It's like you were attached to an outcome there, right? You were attached to an outcome. So to really dig this out, and it's going to be connected to the 9th house. So definitely that's the spiritual house, right? So it's connected to spirituality too, the 9th. And using your intuition, using your power, right? Your spiritual power to manipulate a situation. There was a good, I remember somebody telling me a story once about ancient India, where you'd have this sects, all these different sects of yogis, and they'd be like the Hells Angels. They were like the Hells Angels sect, and they'd be up in the mountain doing their thing, meditating, and then they come down to the village, and they basically said, give us what we want, or else we're gonna like put a curse on you. Basically. So that would be like that's like an extreme taking energy. So you watch that, because some people you can see people, well, we see corruption, right? We can see spiritual people abusing their power. Yeah. So to watch that, this it's the ego lie, and let's see what the gift is for Aquarius. And just remembering that the divine is providing everything. That's your real employer, the divine. Slippery ego. Okay, for Aquarius. What's the gift for Aquarius? This one. So transformation. So it's a picture of a butterfly coming out of oh, this is good. It's coming out of a cocoon. So how does that relate to taking, right? So I want to go back to spiritual people, because I feel like that's my audience anyway. Spiritual people. That there's a thing that happens with butterflies. I know it's such a cliche, eh? The butterfly is a symbol for transformation, but there's so much in there. So when the butterfly is coming out of the cocoon, right? It's got its wings, and that's how it breaks out of the cocoon, right? So it's flapping its wings and to get out of the cocoon, right? But what happens with some people is they think, oh, I'm being compassionate, right? I'm going to help this butterfly. right? And they open up the cocoon for the butterfly. And then the butterfly comes out and it's got like, you know, one wing's working good and the other one's not. It's crippled, right? It becomes crippled. So the person didn't really help the butterfly. It just projected their stuff on the butterfly. So this would be like a spiritual person. Well, I'm helping that person, right? I'm interfering with that person's journey in their cocoon stage, right? This is humanity too, right? Humanity's in a cocoon stage, right? To not go in there and interfere because everybody's there got their right to growth. There's that thing called the embryos. Some people are not destined to awaken in this lifetime, and that's okay, right? They live in an embryo state, and that means in the darkness, and then they'll have their time when they go through the wheel of samsara. So if you want to help, allow the butterfly to fly, right, to fly to you. Do you know what I mean? Like, don't interfere with the growth, someone else's growth, because there's a taking there. Oh, you saved me, right? You're so powerful. You saved me, and then it fosters this dependence, right, on you. So I would watch this, Aquarius, and just let people be on their path, whatever that looks like. It may not look, and really check in. Am I projecting my own fears? Right? I wish somebody would have helped me, right? When I was during, it's like, no, you wouldn't be the person you are today, right? If somebody interfered with your journey and your lessons. So you're interfering with someone else's lessons there. Okay. So let's go for Pisces. Pisces. Where are we going? Oh, I see. Okay. There we go, Pisces. Pisces. Don't you love this, Pisces? You get to go kind of first. When you're on this channel, they usually got the short end of the stick. In astrology, they're always last. Okay. Okay, so let's look at Pisces. I'll put these cards back. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, Pisces, the shadow of corruption is in your 8th house. So this is rebirth, right? This is a total rebirth. So in the 8th house is all the greeblies, right? It's the shadow. It's the things that forces that we have no control over. And so corruption from like deep within your unconscious and your ancestry too can come up. Corruption around sex. Yeah, sexual relationships, Pisces, right? There can be corruption there. And that could come through marriage partners, because the 8th house is marriage too. Anyone you're having a sexual relationship with, that corruption can come through. So it's bringing harmony in that area, right? Because sex has a power. It has a power, and people use it. The sex magic, right? Can be used for corrupt reasons, right? Corrupt, to manipulate someone. You may have probably run into someone like that, right? But they're just reflecting you, right? You. What was I going to say about that? So it's bringing harmony in that area, and also about, I mean, if you're a teacher or a healer, or a life coach, it's like the people that pay you, all right, that give you money. That could be those people, like seeing that maybe some corruption there with people, because it's tempting when money is going away, and you need money, and there's somebody that comes to you, maybe a client, and it's like, I can't really help that person, or they don't want to be helped, but I want their money, right? I want their money to dig that out. It's like, this is like the temptation, right? Of the shadow. And then you're locked in. You're locked into that person. You're bonded to that person karmically. So just stand in your truth, right? No, I can't help you. And and say to yourself, I know the money, it looks like I need money and it has to be this way. But just like, no, my job is to be in integrity right now. And that the divine will take care of that, like, right? We'll take care of the money. It's because it involves money, right? It involves money. So watch you're going to see it. And remember the shadow, it's not about shaming you and blaming yourself. It's just about like accepting it. Like, thank you. I get to see it now, right? And then I can transmute it. We all have these shadows, right? We've come in with this corrupt frequency. So that's what I would say for Pisces to look at that. So let's look at what the ego is saying to bring it all together. And you've got that turbulence, the shadow of turbulence in your first house. So if you haven't listened to that Jupiter-Neptune conjunction live stream that I did, go back and listen to Pisces. It's really important for you to listen to. Let's look at Pisces. Corruption in the 5th and the 8th house. Okay. So the ego. What's the ego saying to Pisces? This is called jealousy. You can see the couple, and then there's the woman with the little short dress on. Jealousy. So in terms of, well, obviously, if you're in your marriage, you may be jealous, and there may be some jealousy issues coming up. But let's go deeper with this. You could be envious and jealous of people in your field, right? If you're a teacher, healer, life coach, there can be jealousy coming up about people in your field and projecting that corruption onto, people that you're jealous of. Oh, they're being corrupt. They have this habit and that habit. Remember, it's coming from you. You spot it, you got it. That's the mantra for shadow work. So to really bring that in, this jealousy. So let's take this to the root, right? The ego, because the ego is always jealous of someone else's success, right? And then sends out that frequency of resentment, or they cheated, and what all that does is it blocks prosperity from reaching you, right? When you're sending out that negative energy, what it's saying is I don't want prosperity because I'm a cheater, right? I'm corrupt. And that's what you're sending out when you're projecting it on someone else. It's like, don't give me any prosperity, right? And I'm just thinking, really go back, Pisces, to this Neptune-Jupiter video that I did, because there was a tie-in to this. I don't want to get into it here because I don't like repeating myself, but it's connected to your prosperity. So to watch this, because this is corruption, right? This jealousy. So where does it come from? Because we want to go right to the root, right? We want to pull those roots up. Well, it goes back to your childhood. It goes back to your childhood. So there could be, and it always involves a sibling. So say you're the oldest sibling, and then you've got a younger sibling that's born. This is the birth of jealousy is right here, right? There's not enough love for me. This child's getting this, my brother or sister's getting more attention than I am, right? So it can happen. It can be projected onto you too. Like say you're the youngest child, and then the eldest, you're the youngest, and you're getting the projection of jealousy onto you, right? Another way that you block your prosperity, because you don't want, well, if I shine too much, right? If I step out too much and really follow my dream, then I'm going to have this projection of jealousy on me, right? And I don't like that. I don't like that feeling because it reminds me of my childhood, right? So to really watch this, this is really good to root out. Do you see how deep this work can go? And it's so worth it, you know, to do emotional work. People that have done, you know, this when you have a really good cry and, you know, you just get it all out. Afterwards, it's like the calm after the storm. It's like the rainbows are coming in, the birds are singing. There's so much spaciousness. You're more aware. You're more conscious. You're more grounded, right? To do this emotional body work. Yeah, this is good. Okay, so let's do for Pisces. Let's see what the gift is for Pisces. Letting go of the ego telling you that you need to be jealous and envious of people. I like to go into the space if I see someone being successful, that means it's coming closer to me, right? So you're like, oh, wow, that person's doing really well, you know? It means it's coming closer to you too. Okay. So what's the gift for Pisces? Oh, look at that. It's enlightenment. Enlightenment. So the Buddha sitting on the cushion, surrounded by all the yellow and pink, self-love, surrounded by all the yellow. So enlightenment in the 8th house. And what's stopping you, Pisces? This jealousy conspiracy. To dig that out. And this takes meditation, right? Pisces has to meditate. You got to meditate anyway because you're so open as a Pisces anyway to create that. All meditation is creating a relationship between you and your mind, you know? So you know what your mind is up to because the mind is a big part of how you're creating your reality, right? So if it's sending this out, it's not going to bring this in, enlightenment. So enlightenment is that expansion of your awareness. It's an illumination, right, of that 8th house. So the 8th house stuff's going to come up, but it's going to come up strong, emotionally strong. It's going to come up, right, for you. Yeah. And have this sense of enlightenment. And so an enlightenment isn't necessarily a permanent thing. It's like, oh, I just have to do this and then I'll be enlightened. It's an experience, right? So you have the potential to have this real experience, this expansion of awareness of how this has been stopping you from prosperity, right? Oh, I was jealous of my sibling, right? Or my sibling was jealous of me, right? And I'm going to really feel this, what it felt like as a child, because, right, you have to go back to the emotional body, 0 to 7. Very good for Pisces. Any Pisces out there? It's all quiet on the comment section here. Okay. And I know this is a long live stream, but you can benefit from listening to all of them, right? Because it's really, you know, we've got our zodiac sun sign, we've got our moon and our rising and all those on all the planets, but we really have all of them, you know? And it's really one consciousness is sliced up into 12, so you can benefit. But of course, one is going to really impact you the most. Yeah. Cedar is a Pisces. And Rumi, yay, the Pisces. So you got a great opportunity, Pisces rising, sun, moon. Okay, and then we're for Aries. In some ways, I want to make Aries the last. Because Aries are they represent the ego, right? The embodiment of the ego. Just for a little humbling, but I won't do that. Okay, so let's do Aries here. And Aries. is in the 7th house, of course, because it's the opposite of Aries is Libra. So corruption, the shadow of corruption in the 7th house. So this is your partnerships. So this could be your marriage partner too, but it can represent the other, right? That's what it is the other. So your partners are going to show you your corruption. That's how it works, right? The shadow. And so it's the shadow, again, is something that we disown, we judge, we disown, and then we repress it, and then we project it onto another person, and it's them, right? They're being corrupt. So your partners are going to show you that. Whatever partnerships that you're in will show you the shadow of corruption, these programs, or you'll assume. Because what happens with shadow, when you're in the frequency of shadow, it influences not only your emotions, it influences your emotional state, it influences your thoughts, the quality of your thoughts. It influences your perception and how you see the world. So when you're in that frequency of shadow, that's all you're going to see. That's all you're going to see is that shadow. You're just going to see corruption everywhere. Everywhere around you, you're going to see corruption. But you need to bring it back inside Aries. And it's like, oh, I'm projecting this shadow right now. I'm in this frequency now. I'm not in reality. I'm not really seeing clearly. So you can imagine how this really upsets your relationships, right? If you're making these huge assumptions about another person and they're not necessarily true, right? You're disconnected. You're like living in a bubble, you know, you're in a bubble of shadow. And and you'll know by how you feel. When we're in shadow, it doesn't feel good, right? You're angry, you're depressed, you're resentful, right? You're sad, you know, you're impotent. That's the word Aries does not like, impotent. You're not powerful at all. So you want to work through this, and something's going to be illuminated where you're like, oh, I always do this in my relationships. That's why this pattern is happening, right? Over and over and over again. Maybe lifetimes for you, Aries. And remember, Aries is all about dealing with their anger, right? So they're going to feel depressed, or they're going to express it anger outwardly, right? They're learning how to correctly channel that anger to change, right? It's a fuel for transformation, true anger. So it's going to bring harmony between you and your relationships, right? Okay, so let's do a card for Aries. See what the ego is telling Aries for this full moon in Libra. So Aries. In the 7th house of relationships. Oh, Libra is also the archetype of Libra is about listening. So you not doing all the talking, right? It's to listen to the reflection coming back at you, you know? So that's an important piece too that I was getting, is to listen more to your part. Just don't dismiss it, right? Because God works through everybody. And sometimes that message, if you're getting the same message over and over again, it's like if somebody says you've got a tail, it's like, oh, that person's crazy. I got no tail. But, you know, if 5 or 6 people are telling you got a tail, then it would behoove you to look back and go, oh, yeah, I do have a tail, right? So to listen, and listening doesn't mean waiting to talk. You know, a lot of people think, oh, I'm listening. Meanwhile, they're going over their rebuttal and what they're going to say. Listening is like with your whole being, right? Is to listen. Okay, so let's go for Aries. And what's the ego telling Aries? Spirit, what's the ego telling Aries? Look at that. Anger. It's anger. So it has a a man is like pointing his finger at this woman and she's like against the wall, afraid, right? So what I want to say about this conspiracy is, again, the ego wants you, he's pointing his finger, right, outside of himself. He's pointing his finger as his partner, right? And she's afraid. And this is going to be, I mean, if you got something like your corrupt programming is, well, people always leave me. They're never there for me, right? They never support me, right? Maybe that's going on, that corrupt program within you. Well, you got to take it back to you. Do you want to be hanging out with somebody that's pointing their finger at you and angry at you and what you did? Who wants to hang around with that? What you're doing is you're pushing the person away, right? You're pushing the person away. So this is saying you need more of a balance. Like you need more of a listening, your listening ears, and then speaking, right? More of a balance with your relationships. And then to look at this anger is to take it back inside, right? Because this anger is really about you being angry with yourself, right? This is what this is. So to dig up that, like, what's this anger about? And maybe you're being pressured to change, right? We are in the Aquarian age. Maybe you're being pressured to change and evolve, and the ego is angry. I don't want to change. I don't want to evolve. I want to stay the same. I'm right. Everybody else is wrong, right? So there can be this anger coming up. And so remember that the three primary emotions that you deal with are anger, fear, and grief. So there's a lot underneath this anger. Don't stay here. The ego wants you stuck in anger, and then you're on the wheel of samsara over and over like a broken record, complaining about the same old things over and over again. You want to feel it. You want to sit in the room and feel it. It's like, I'm not moving from this room. I'm not moving from this chair. And I'm just going to feel it. I'm going to surrender to it. And then what's going to come up is the fear. There's like the vibration of fear. And then there'll be the grief, right? And then the floodgates open. And that's your emotional body, right? And this is the anger that's keeping you from it. It's like that bouncer at the door, like, you're not going in there, right? And you're like, persistence. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to see what's underneath this anger, Aries. Okay? And stop projecting onto other people. Okay, so let's see what the gift is. And it's going to be anger at yourself. The ego basically wants you angry at yourself. Okay. So what's the gift under anger for Aries? The healing for Aries. Okay. What's the gift? What's the gift? This one. Oh, I love this card. It's you can see the figure. He's an artist. Right there. There we go. It's creativity. So he's out in nature and he's painting. Right? He's painting. Calm and relaxed and content. So that's what's coming out of this, right? Creativity. Beneath the anger is the creativity. And this is about doing something different, you know? Like, don't get stuck in your way. The ram just wants it's one pointed, right? It's banging its head against the door over and over, lifetime after lifetime, hoping that something will change, right? Nothing's going to change until you feel, right? You feel anger, you feel into it, like deeply into it. You feel it like you're just anger. You know what I mean? Like you're so absorbed by it that you're just the frequency of anger, right? And you don't act on it, right? You just become it, and then underneath, something's going to break. The floodgates are going to open. And then this is what comes through. This is divinity, right? Divine energy is creativity, right? It's coming through. So something really creative wants to move through you, Pisces, right? So this is a a beautiful gift. And I mean, if you're a healer, teacher, life coach, we need more of this. We need way more energy, right? Creative energy, not from the past, what worked before, but what's new, what's now in this moment, because we have problems humanity's never seen before. So we need creative solutions. So this is really good for Aries. Okay. And let's go for Taurus. Just want my cards all orderly here. Okay, Taurus. Taurus. Okay. Okay, the thing that I want to say, if your sun sign, right, is like Taurus, for instance, like you want to get your chart, okay? You want to get your chart and look at the ascendant, and that's the rising sign, and also your moon. So you can go to astro.com, get your free chart, and your rising sign is that you'll see the number 1 first house, and whatever that zodiac sign is, that's your ascendant. And so this is how we present to the world. We've got our sun sign, yes, but we've got our ascendant, which is how we present to the world. So it's really the most important one to look at is your ascendant, and then your moon, which is more of the emotional content, you know, your moon. So for instance, for me, I'm a Taurus and double Leo. So I've got Leo rising and Leo moon. The Leo always applies more to me, right? Always more to me. It's like closest to what I'm going through. Of course, Taurus issues too, but really the Leo. So you want to look at your ascendant. And I always have a link in my information box. Okay, so you want to look at your ascendant first, and then your moon, and then your sun. Okay, so Taurus is, there's so much going on for Taurus anyway, because Uranus is in Taurus, then the North Node is in Taurus. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's in your 6th house, this full moon of corruption. So this is about your health, bringing more balance into your health, like your physical health. Maybe there needs to be correction there. And it's also related to your work, like what you do for your work. So to me, it's like, you know, the bulls, right? The Taurus, the bull, the archetype of the bull, they're hard workers, bulls. They're really, really hard workers. They like their peace too and their relaxation, right? But they work really hard. You think of like, oh, I want these logs pulled around. You're going to get a bull, right, to do it, you know, back in the day. So hardworking. So this is about digging up any programs from your ancestors, maybe your childhood, where you had to like justify your existence. You know, my father was like this with me and my brother. On the weekends, right, we would always have a job to do. We'd always have like, and it would be, okay, we're going to do this for 3 hours. We're going to do that for 4 hours, you know, and you're always working and you couldn't relax, right? You weren't allowed to relax. You had to like sneak away to relax. So this can bring up those old programs, you know, that you have to be busy and have to be working. And if you're not, then maybe you're feeling guilty. Maybe you feel guilty that you don't relax enough, right? So it's bringing back harmony, and it's connected to your health, right? So your health is going to show you with this full moon in Libra. It's like, I'm feeling so stressed out right now. Well, if you feel stress, it's going to attract some kind of illness, and your body will let you know, like, you're off, you're out of balance, right? Remember that happiness is the balance of energy. So it's the balance of work and play. So play could be a non-active thing. It could be just like like last night, I just stared at the ocean. It was so relaxing to not think about anything, just like watch the waves, right? It's like so healing for us. And you're a Taurus, right? Nature is really healthy for the bulls, right? But the work to do is like to dig up those programs, right? And then from childhood, if you're feeling guilty because you're relaxing and you're not busy, right? Then there's something to look at. It's like, I don't feel loved, because that's what you feel as a child when your parents are saying, you got, what are you doing on the couch? Get off the couch. Your mother needs help with this. Or they make up work. My father used to do that all the time, make up jobs for me and my brother just to keep us busy, right? And it was just so like, oh, I just need to sleep. You know, as a teenager, that's all you want to do is sleep. So bringing harmony in that area. And in terms of, because it's Libra, right? So it's your relationships, like work relationships. So there needs to be an equal give and take, right? So if you're giving way too much, you're working too hard, you're carrying the load, right? In your work, the person that you work with is not carrying their load. That's going to bring this harmony, right, back to your to the people that you work with. Okay, so let's go for a card for Taurus. Yes, as projectors too. I mean, if you're a Taurus projector, you need to rest. If you're a non-energy type, you need more rest. You know, the reflectors, the manifestors, and the projectors, we don't have the sacral. See how it's colored in? Yeah, that's the generators. Okay. So let's do a card for Taurus. And what's the ego telling Taurus about this 6th house of work and health? You can bring up old health issues too, Taurus. This full moon that you need to deal with to bring your body into balance. Okay. So what does Taurus need to see? This is an interesting one. This is one of the 6 primal wounds. We have 6 primal wounds. It's called denial. Denial. So you can see he's walking over one of those rickety bridges, like waving, in complete denial that he's in danger, right? So there could be some denial that will be illuminated, because remember, it's the full moon, so you're not going to be able to stay in denial with this, whatever this issue is. It could be a health issue that's getting more serious and grabbing your attention, and maybe you're one to just push it aside, like, I'll be fine, I just need to work harder, or whatever the ego is telling you. So to open up, like, what am I in denial about here? And in terms of the work, maybe the give and take of the work, because it's Libra and it's your relationships. You know, am I looking in truth at this person that I'm working with, right? Or that yeah. Anyway, let's see the gift. I think that's will come. I'm a Taurus, so that's why there's a little bit of static here. Okay. So let's see what the healing is for Taurus in the role with denial. With denial. Okay. There we go. Oh. Resurrection. Now, this is about work. That's what I see now. Denial is about work. It's about working. Right? Resurrection, it's like he's on a bed in a hospital. And then there's light coming through. He's like coming alive again. So this conspiracy of denial, and this is denying the self. You know what I mean? This is denying the self. And it's denying time. That's what I see as denying time, that we have a limited amount of time here on the earth plane. And do we want to be spending it working to the bone, you know? Busy, busy, busy working, right? Right to the grave. For what? You know? So this is really saying to relax, that it's okay to just stare, like just go out and stare at the butterflies or the birds or whatever you want to do. And just relax the mind too, because the mind can create health issues, right? With the constant anxiety and where it's the sixth house, worrying, right? Worrying about what's going to happen in the future, needing a plan and a strategy and all that stuff. This is like a denial of how you've been operating, like day to day. So really look at your day to day habits. How am I spending my time? Is this nurturing my soul, or is it feeding my mind and feeding my neuroses? Right, keeping the past alive. Right, the full moon will just illuminate where you need to make changes. And then you can have this resurrection. This is the new self, right? The new self is being resurrected. That may be very, very different than what you're used to, right? Or how you've been living your life. That's good. So remember with denial too, with this wound of denial, because it's one of the 6 primal wounds. Denial is second line, so it's like looking outside of yourself. So just watch who you're judging, you know? Why can't that person just sit down? Why do their knee is going and they're tapping their feet, right? Why can't they just relax? Well, you're seeing yourself. If it bugs you, this is shadow work. If it bugs you somehow and pushes your buttons, that means it's inside you. It's inside you, and denial wants you pointing your finger outside of yourself, right? So you have to look at like, oh, that person that's really, really busy. Maybe you're not like that. Like it's extreme, because the reflection will be extreme and magnified so you can see it. Then you can bring it back inside. It's like, oh, I'm a bit like that. And that's why I don't want to look at it. But I just can't relax. My mind is like going crazy and it won't stop. And I have trouble sleeping. And I'm like constantly taking information even before I go to bed. You know, it's like I don't stop, right? That's the denial, that this is going to end up in a bad place if you keep denying how you've been living your life, like day by day. So, and then the gift here is resurrection. So that this is like relax, right? Let creation serve you, right? Remember, you're the flower and creation is the bee. Let the bees come to you. Okay. And things get done. It doesn't mean you're on your couch all day. Things get done. They'll get done, but in a different, relaxed way, not through the mind. Hi, Lori from Kelowna. Awesome. In Canada. So let's go for Gemini. Okay. There's Gemini. I'll just put my cards here. Gemini. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. Okay. Okay. So in your 5th house, the full moon falls on your 5th house. And that is your, it could be children if you're a parent. It's your inner child, right? Your inner child is your love of self, your self-love. It's about your self-expression. It's very creative too there. So there can be corruption around in those areas. So bringing harmony back, right, in the 5th house stuff. And what's it going to say about that with the 5th house and corruption? I don't know. I wanted to do a card. I think that's going to open up. Open up. Nothing's coming to me right now. So let's do an ego conspiracy for Gemini. What's the ego telling Gemini about creativity and their children and their child? We got a duplicate. The taking energy. So Gemini and Aquarius, both air signs, which is interesting. The taking energy, right? So this giving to take. And children. Oh. This may have happened to you as a child. That's what I'm seeing. Some corrupt program when you were a young child. Being taken from. And this isn't like, it can be energetic, right? And like, let's go to the energy. It can be energetically taken from as a child. There's just little, like what's coming to me right now is if you were a child and your mother talked about things that you probably shouldn't have been hearing, like maybe talking about your father. You know, parents do this all the time that are unconscious. And using you, like taking from you, like using you as a confidant, like an emotional confidant in a sense. And because she was missing that herself in her marriage, that can be a taking. That's a taking energy. And then it produces these rescuers, right? A rescuer. And this can happen, right? If it can be your father too, right? Your father or your mother. So to look at that, like really go deep into that, and it's difficult to acknowledge that, because that's emotional abuse, right? Because I'm like, well, that wasn't abusive. I was just helping her. I was helping my father. They had no one to listen to, and turning you against the other parent, right? So that could be a taking, in a sense, of giving to take. Or there was always a rope attached, you know, with your parents. There was always a rope attached of you do this or I give you this. But the rope was like, there were all these conditions, right? It wasn't like freely given to you, right? Or you may have had this dynamic too with your parents, because children can be very manipulative too to get their needs met, right? The giving, the take. I'm going to give compliments, right? I'm going to give all these compliments to my mother, father, and they're going to feel really good, and then drop me some cash, right? When I ask them at the end of the day, right? Like just little things to dig up, because these patterns follow you into adulthood, right? So you want to dig these up with this, because it's about your relationships, and it's like, where do I give to take? And you may have this pattern with your own children, right? If you're a parent, to really look at this. Am I giving freely to my child, or do I expect something in return? Because parents sometimes want to live vicariously through their children. They really want it to be a doctor or a lawyer, or they really wanted this, they wanted that, and then they expect the child to fulfill that desire, right? And then the adult is like, becomes the people pleaser. That's what psychologically happens. So you want to look at this, right? The giving to take dynamic. Okay, let's see what the healing is underneath this. And it's keeping you from your authentic self, right? Because we create these personalities as children to cope. And you may not be a people pleaser. Maybe you don't give a shit about people. You know what I mean? Like you don't really care about their problems. You may be that way. That's okay if you have that kind of personality and that's you. But then you've taken on this role of like, I really care about people and I listen and I want to help them. And it's like you're giving to take because you want love. This is the inner child house, right? You want love. That's what that child wants is love back. So it's all about North Node in Taurus, right? And it's in your 12th house. This is like a completion of this old way, right, of being. And well, let's see the gift. I suspect what the gift's going to be, but let's see. Giving the take. That's a sneaky one from the ego. Okay. What's Gemini? What's the gift for Gemini? What's the gift for Gemini under this taking? Oh, this is an interesting one. It's called angelic intervention. Angelic intervention. And it's a man walking. He's walking. It looks like he just got out of the wheelchair and he's walking down this path. And then you see angels, like an angel up here in the clouds. So taking from angelic intervention. So to me, this is about moving out of your victim. This is the victim, right? So the ego is going to tell you that you need to operate this way. The only way you're going to get your needs met is giving to take, right? That's the only, how can I exploit this situation that I'm in right now? How can I exploit this person that I'm in right now? What are all my manipulative tricks that worked on my parents in the past, right? And then this is like letting go of this role, of this persona that's not you. You're a great being of light. You don't need anything from anybody, you know? This is the Aquarian age, your whole self-sovereign, right? Hold on to yourself. You don't need to take from anybody. You got it. You have everything. It's like you're a zillionaire, you know, and you're trying to like pickpocket and get a couple bucks off somebody, right? That's what this is what the ego has reduced you to, the giving, the take. So angelic intervention is like just being more yourself, allowing this full moon energy, and it's angelic for you. That's what I see here, to let that move in. So sometimes it's just stopping. You know, when you catch yourself in this shadow thing or you catch a thought, that's why you have to meditate, Gemini. So you can catch your thought. That's like, it's going to be like I have to give to take energy. Oh, I should say this. I should give them a compliment or something like that. Like that's the sneaky ego, right? You stop. And then it's like you pray, you put a little silent prayer out. Right? You don't need to put your hands in prayer pose. You just do it silently, mentally to yourself. I need some angelic intervention here. I need truth, right? And then that energy is going to come through, right? It's going to come through. And then you'll know how to respond. You're going to be responding in a new way. You're going to be like the needle goes on another groove in the record. Angelic intervention. And whatever you need, right? Call on that. Call it on from the divine. I really need love. I need to feel supported right now. I need to feel valued. I need to feel recognized. Then ask the divine for that. Like bring that in. I want to feel that. I don't want to be taking from other people and trying to get that need met. Right? So that's good. Yeah. And the thing is, whatever you need, like think of like back, because it's in the 5th house of your childhood. What did I need from my parents? I needed to be seen, right? That's a big one. I just needed to be seen. Well, then you give that to other people, right? You see them. without any expectation for a reward, not to give to take, but just start giving what you need to others, and then giving it to yourself. That's going to really help get out of this conspiracy of the giving, the taking. And this is Aquarius. This is the collective. So we're really going to see this out in the world. People reducing themselves to like their animal self to get their needs met. Okay. So that's Gemini. And let's go for Cancer. Let's go for Cancer here. Okay. Oh, somebody asked a question. Okay. M. Miller, Aquarius in my second house. Did you get the name of the deck? So it's called the Ego cards. I don't even know if they sell them anymore, but this is my third deck. Like, that's how much I've used them. I've been using them since 2008. So it's like the other two decks got totally worn down. I really, really like them. They've really worked well for me. So that's why I wanted to share them with you guys too. Okay, so we're at sensitive Cancer. And where are we? Cancer. Okay. There's Capricorn. There's Cancer hiding in the crab, hiding in their shell. 1, 2, 3, 4. Corruption. The full moon of corruption is in their home, right? In their home life. So again, we have to tie it into Libra, right? Libra rules their fourth house. There can be corruption, and meaning inequality with their partner, right? That they live with, their partner that they live with. Maybe they're carrying a lot of the weight of the household, like taking care of the money and the shopping and the cleaning and all that, and the partner's just not present, like not stepping up. That could be because remember, it's about harmony and balance, right? This full moon. So it could be showing you where you're out of balance, like really, really clearly. And some people, I mean, they can't see it, right? They don't see it. They don't see the imbalance until maybe somebody in their life will notice something like, he doesn't seem to be doing a lot around here. You seem to be doing a lot. And then you kind of like, oh, yeah, that's right. I never really noticed that before. So, so the full moon is going to illuminate that area for you. And just because it's in the fourth house, it has to do with your mother too. So the corrupt programming could come through your mother, your grandmother, your great grandmother. Like, this is just the way it is, right? That if you have a male partners can't do the dishes, or they can't do this, like real old school stuff. That this is something that you're going to root out, right? As a Cancer. And this is home, right? This is your archetype, is home. You want things cozy, but you want things equal, right? And beautiful too, because it's Libra in the fourth house. You like a beautiful home. So to dig that out, that no, things don't have to be like this just because my grandmother and my great grandmother did things like this. I want equality. And equality doesn't mean like, because some people can get stuck on that with the gender roles, that equality is, you do the dishes 3 times a week, I do them 3 times a week, and then we go out one night a week. It's equality is like looking at your gifts, like what you enjoy to do. Maybe your partner doesn't like doing the dishes, hates doing the dishes, does a shitty job doing the dishes, right? But you love doing dishes. So you like your meditative time, you do it really, really well. It's your quiet time. Then you just do the division of labor. It doesn't have to be equal, but whatever he enjoys to do, right? So whatever that is, like it's about, remember, Libra's listening and cooperating, and work with each other's strengths, because some people can do that. It's got to be equal, and this is what it means by equal, right? You have to feel good, both you and your partner, about the division of labor, right? And when that looks like, and let go of this ancestral corruption, right? That's coming through, that's upsetting your home life. And your home's really important, Cancer, for you. Okay, so any Cancers out there? Let's see what the ego is telling Cancer. What's the ego telling Cancer about the 4 years? One more for the 4th house. Okay. Cancer, 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 Cancer. This one. It's the ego conspiracy of depression. Depression. So you can see it's a person. It looks like a woman on the bed in the fetal position, with rain clouds around her. Depression, all gray, right? So this is causing depression, right? This corruption in your home life can cause a depression, or maybe your partner's depressed. You're dealing with that too. Not only taking up all the load, right, of the labor in your home, but also your partner may be depressed. So what's depression? Depression is anger turned inward on the self. So there's anger coming up, Cancer, and you may be stuffing it down, and Cancers are very good at stuffing stuff down, right? Hiding, withdrawing, going back into their shell, right? I'll just do it, be the martyr. And meanwhile, your mental state is going to tell you, like, no, that's not okay. I'm feeling depressed about this. But are you feeling depressed, or are you feeling anger? Like you're feeling anger. So you got to get that anger out. Doesn't mean you start yelling at your partner, but like physically, right? Physically get that anger out. And it's amazing when I learned this, like way, way, way back, about depression, because I used to battle with depression, that it's actually anger. And I remember getting boxing's so good, getting a punching bag. And I'm like, this doesn't make sense, right? Because anger, you feel like you're hot and you're active and you've got all this energy flowing through you. And depression, you just feel depleted, like you got no energy. And I just stood like doing a couple wimpy little punches, right? And then I got into it. And it was amazing. The anger that started coming up for me, and that like pushed through this depressive state. And it's like, oh, I'm angry about a lot of things, right, that happened to me in my life. So for you, it's like getting angry about what happened to you in your home life. Maybe this is an echo. You had way too much responsibility. The 50 has taken way too much responsibility, right? That wasn't yours. Maybe you had to be more the parent than the child. You got your childhood was robbed from you. There's lots of things the child may be angry about. So a great meditation to do for that, which I love this meditation. It's called the Meditation for Childhood Anger. You just like search for it on YouTube. You'll find it on my YouTube channel. And so what happens with anger in childhood? It gets stuck in the jaw area. That's why people grind their teeth. It's childhood anger. So it's really difficult to get at, right? And certainly not through therapy. Therapy just re-traumatizes the child. You got to get right to the root, the emotional root, that's 0 to 7. But this meditation really gets that anger and channels it outward, right? This meditation. I did it for 90 days. I think I did it for 90 days back in the day, 2008. My personality changed, right? It totally changed just to get that out of your system. Because this is what this is about, this depressed, right? And whatever's happening in your home life is an echo of what happened to you as a child, right? Because we want to The universe wants us to heal and be happy. Yeah. So letting go of those corrupt weeds there of what you can do and can't say, and there's no room for you, and taking way too much responsibility for your partner. Okay. Let's do, and then getting your, I mean, in terms of harmony and balance, getting your own energy and your own emotions more in balance. Because when you got depression kind of leading and you're kind of stuffing down the anger, you're not letting the good stuff in either. You're not letting the happiness and the joy in either, you know? Okay. So let's see what the healing is for Cancer. Mm-hmm. Which one? This one. I feel like I wanted to do two. I'm going to go with that. So the first one is centering. You can see this woman, she's got her hands in prayer pose and got her yogi pants on. Looks like she's about to do sun salutations. So centering yourself, not to say that you got to get into this asana, but centering yourself inside, okay, for this depression. This is really good to do, actually. Yeah, I can see what Spirit's saying here. That when we're depressed, we can feel completely overwhelmed by it. And we lose this. We lose our center because we're just covered in emotions, you know, this depressive energy. And to go into your center, so imagine an ocean, right? The depression and the emotions are up here on the surface. So the waves are going, there's like lots of turbulence, right? To use that word, turbulence. But if you go to your center, the center of who you are, you're going deep, right? You're going swimming down into the bottom of the ocean. And that's where everything's calm. There's very little movement down there, right? It's very, if at all, right? It's calm down there, no matter what craziness is going up there. So this is what this gift is saying, is to center, like go deeper and deeper. And then you become almost detached from the depression, and then you can work with it. This is right if you've had a chronic problem with depression. It's a great way to kind of detach, and then you let it in. So you're not so overwhelmed by it, right? You stay in your center. Yeah. And then this is a really good one. Cancer's got a powerful moon coming, full moon. It's called the ego's doom. The ego's doom. So you can see this person is being released from a cage, right? But it's not out of the, oh no, it's got a couple cages. At least one of the, because these are all lies that the ego tells you. So you're out of one cage, right? You're out of one cage there. So this is a real trap for you, Cancer, is this depression. And maybe your mother was depressed too. That's what I'm getting too. That your mom was depressed. And that you had to deal with her. You had to take all these responsibilities on for your siblings, right? Because she was incapacitated. She was depressed. So that can bring up anger too, right? Like, where's my mother? Right? Why am I the adult here? Right? Why did I get my childhood robbed? Right? Taking on way too much responsibility. So centering yourself and just like take a little space to detach, right? Because the ego's telling you this is just the way things are, right? You're just depressed. Your partner's just depressed, and you've got to fix everything. Step back, right? Okay, that's good for Cancer. Okay. And Leo. Let's go for Leo. Leo. Okay. Okay, Leo. It's funny. I'm just looking at the comments and the likes, and somebody came in and put a dislike. It's like somebody had to come in and poop in the middle of the carpet. You probably need some attention. So whoever put the dislike, I'm giving you my attention. Right? It's funny. Okay, Leo. Let's see. Is in 1, 2, 3 in the third house. So this is about your mind. This is about your mind. And I know there's some Leos out there. Leos seem to be very interested in astrology. I noticed that. Like my Leo video, there's the most views there. And I noticed the most views with separate videos. That it's Leo going through a lot. So corruption around your thinking. Right? So the third house is about, it's not the higher mind like the ninth house, but the third house is your actual, it's ruled by Mercury, right? It's your conscious mind, like the thoughts that are coming through. So there can be corruption around your thoughts. So remember, just to review, that your thoughts influence your emotions, can influence your emotions. Your emotions influence your thoughts too, but it can be like putting gasoline right on the fire with your thoughts if you feed those emotions, right? And then the emotions get bigger. And then it creates your perception. So your thoughts, what you're thinking about, creates your perception. That's what you start seeing around you, whatever you're thinking about. And then that affects your behavior, right? But the root is to go back to those thoughts, right? To go back to those thoughts. And then the root is like what's going on with you emotionally, right? To get back to the emotions, because the emotions they're influencing those thoughts. Yeah. So there could be corruption around, I'm just thinking of the mind, how the mind works according to yogic philosophy, that we actually have 3 minds according to yoga: the positive mind, the negative mind, and the neutral mind. So the doesn't mean like, oh, positive minds are good thoughts and negative minds are bad thoughts. It's not that simplistic. So we have a positive mind, and I like to look at Star Trek. If you watch Star Trek, The New Generation, that like, let's say the ship is coming and then it comes to like an alien ship they've never seen before. Worf, Worf, the warrior, he would be the negative mind. And right away it's like, shields up, get the lasers ready, right? Like, get the guns ready, basically. And that's because the negative mind sees it as a threat. It's something unknown that's coming and it's a threat. The positive mind would be like Counselor Troy, right? She's the positive mind, and she's like, hold up. They could be peaceful. There's an opportunity here for us to learn about another culture, right? Learn about their technology, right? So that would be the positive mind, the opportunities, right? But who makes the decision? Leo, who makes the decision? Neither the positive mind nor the negative mind. Who makes his decision is Captain Picard, and he's the neutral mind. So he listens to both, right? What Worf is saying, what the negative mind is saying, these are all the dangers, this is what could happen. And then Counselor Troy, these are all the positives. And then Captain Picard makes the decision. It's the neutral mind, and the neutral mind is connected to our higher self. So the neutral mind is directly connected to our destiny and our soul purpose. So that's what we want to listen to. So you can get too, Leo, you can get too much in the positive mind. Do you know what I mean? Like, you just see everything, all the opportunities, and this could be great, and that could be great, and this could happen, and that could happen. And that could backfire in your face, right? If you just take too much of a risk without even looking, right? Without even looking at the negative mind and what the negative mind has to say. Or you could go the other way. So that's the Pollyanna. Some new age people are like that. It's like all unicorns and rainbows. They don't want to look at the shadow at all, right? And or you could go too much in the negative mind. And it's like, well, this could happen and that, this bad thing could happen. And all that never works because I did that 10 years ago, right? The big long list of the things that could go wrong and not even looking at opportunities, right? So this is going to create, right? It's going to create how you perceive the world. It's going to create your reality in a sense, right? So you really want to be connecting to your neutral mind on this, but also becoming more optimistic. That's my sense, because Leos have been through so much, you know, like just, yeah, just one thing not working after another, after another, after another, and to just become more optimistic, right? Leos are ruled by the sun. They're ruled by the sun. They're warm, they're optimistic, they're playful, right? So we have to get that back, right? As Leos. So just watching the corruption around your thoughts. Like, what are you thinking about? How are you feeling? Oh, my energy's really low. You know, I'm feeling pessimistic. Then go to your thoughts. I'm too much in the negative mind. I need more balance. Remember, Libra is balance. So the balance of the positive and the negative mind, right? Or I'm manic. Everything is great. Blah, blah, you know, too much in the positive mind, you know, too much in fantasy. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. Too much in your fantasy, not really being in the present moment. Then you want to look at like, oh, I'm a little bit off balance here. I need to bring in more of like, oh, I need to be cautious. I can't just, you know, open my heart to just anyone. You know what I mean? Like just dynamics like that. Okay, so let's do the cards, and this will get more into it. So the harmony between your positive, negative mind and what you're thinking about. Watch what you're thinking about. Okay. Okay. So what's going on with Leo and the ego? What's going on with Leo? What's the ego telling Leo for the third house? This one. Interesting. We're getting a real theme of anger. We got depression once and we got anger twice. So this was Aries. So Leo and Aries, both fire signs. Yeah. So angry thoughts. Angry thoughts. Who's in your environment? Third house is your environment, right? Who are you letting in to your environment? Yeah. The light's going to come on. I remember I'm just thinking of this dream I had back in 2000. And I was thinking of getting a roommate because it's like, oh, I can't afford to pay for a place. I was totally in scarcity consciousness then. And then thinking, well, I'll live with this guy. He's okay, right? I didn't really know him that well. I had a dream, right? That we were by a lake or something. And I looked over and there were snakes. There were snakes in the trees. And I've got a real phobia for snakes. And I was turning my head to say, watch out, there's snakes in the tree. And I looked beside me and it was him, right? The roommate. And he completely turned into a snake. Right? So the dream was telling me, like, be wary, you know, of who you let into your environment, right? Who you let into your environment. Especially if you're a non-energy type, like reflector, projector, or manifestor in the human design system, that energy is going to affect you, right? You're basically consuming the energy around you. So just because third house is your environment, just to really, something's going to come into balance around your environment. It's your community, people that you see every day. And then anger. And then anger. Let's do the gift. I need the gift here. It's funny, the ones that apply to me are a little bit challenging. Okay. Let's hear from the Leos in the comment. I know there's a couple of you. Okay, so what's the healing beneath the anger? Okay, Spirit. Okay, what's the next one? Okay, so the conspiracy of anger, which is anger at the self. And then we've got spirit, and we've got light. I picked 3 because these 2 don't give me a lot of information. But this is the big one, communion. Communion. Spirit, light, communion. So this is remembering yourself as spirit, remembering yourself as light, remembering the other person as spirit and light. And then coming into communion. So again, the ego wants us separated from one another. So angry at one another. And maybe you were fooled. I'm just thinking of this third house and just that story that I told you. Like fooled, being too open with people, maybe too trusting with some people. And that it's not about putting walls up, but it's self-love is about setting boundaries, like how deeply do I want to let this person in? And maybe you're angry at yourself for letting that person in too quickly, right? With the third house, bringing them into your environment like too quickly, and refusing to see the negative mind. This is the thing, right? People show us who they are. They show us who they are. As soon as you meet them, they'll show you who they are. It's universal divine law. But if you're completely in the positive mind and optimistic, you're not going to listen to the negative mind thoughts. You know, oh, that person didn't really mean to say that. You know, they're not really like that, right? That's how you kind of brush it off. You brush it off. So there can be anger like directed back at you, the ego, right? Why do you keep trusting people? The ego will tell you about anger. Yeah. And maybe you do need to get angry. Maybe you do, as a Leo, you need to get a little bit angry, right? They'll be healthy for you because it doesn't go away, right? It doesn't go away. This anger will come up in like passive aggressive ways, especially if you're a nice guy. You know, the nice guys, there's a whole book on that. There's a secret resentment underneath that. And it's how you communicate too, right? Because it's the third house communication. So let's bring the communion together. So you can see this is a man and a woman, so it's relationships, and then in the heart. So this way you're coming, I just want to say passive aggressive, this way in your communication, that other person's going to feel it, even if the words sound really good, right? The words coming out of your mouth sound good, especially as a spiritual person, but there's this frequency of anger behind the words that's unexpressed. That's going to keep this away, right? Communion. Communion is about getting honest and authentic with yourself, right? And coming from, communion is like just because it's the third house too. It's like the highest expression of communication is communion. And this is when you come together as spirit, right? Come together as spirit and light, open in your heart, right? Open in your heart. That where you get to really I'm not finding it so hard to find words for this. Communion, where you're open-hearted, like really open-hearted, not carrying this little cache of anger, right? Yeah, with the third house. Siblings, that's what it is. That's the missing piece. Third house is siblings. So look at your relationship with your sibling, right? Yeah, with this. Keeping you away from this. The communion, like still anger around your brother or your sister to look at. It's keeping you from communion. It's keeping you from fully, right? Like this is just like there's a part of you holding yourself back. That's what I see. There's part of you holding yourself back. And this is like, I'm fully here. Here I am. Open-hearted. Here it is, right? Yeah. Okay. That's where I would go. Just allow yourself to express, right? Third house. Allow yourself to, even your journal, like journal, right? And give yourself permission to be angry. I'm really angry about this, what this happened with my brother or my sister, this dynamic. And especially if they're still alive, your siblings, it will come up, right? It will come up. And what was it about, right? Because this is what's behind it, is to be able to really communicate with other people in a deep, meaningful way. Yeah. Okay. What about the Leos? What are you feeling? We got Linda, who's a Leo. We've got Joy. She's an ascendant Leo. I thought I saw another one too. They may have gone. Okay. Okay, so let's go for Virgo. And the great thing about the full moon, right? Those dynamics, those corrupt dynamics will just make themselves known to you. The lights will come on, so trust in that. Okay, here's Virgo. Okay, and Virgo's in the second house. Corruption. So this is about self-value, valuing yourself. It's about money. Oh no. Yeah, that's right. Second house is about value, self-value and self-worth. There can be some corruption programs to uproot there. So bringing harmony into that area of your life of self-esteem and your self-worth and your self-value. You may be dealing with corruption in terms of your money and your finances. Yeah. Let's do a card for that so I can really zone in on the focus. Okay. So Virgo. Virgo in the second house. It's about how you earn your money, too. So there may be some programming, some conditioning, because this comes from your ancestors about how you have to earn your money, the way you're supposed to earn your money. And it may not be correct for you, right? Maybe it's too... Well, this is just the way things are done, right? Because it's about systems. This shadow of corruption is about our systems too. It's like, well, I do the steps. I get my resume, I do this and I do that. And that's how I earn money, right? And this old way of being is completely disappearing, and it's allowing for creativity to come. Maybe there's some new ways for you to earn money that are coming, right? So so bringing more balance into your finances, Libra. And what's the ego telling Libra? Tell me what the ego is telling Libra. Oh, competition. Yeah, this is what the ego is telling you. You got to compete. So there's all these people chasing the Holy Grail up here on the top of the mountain, right? There's one person's stomping on the other person's head, then another one on the bottom. So this is what the ego is telling you. This is how you earn your money. You got to compete, right? You got to hustle and you got to hassle to get that Holy Grail, which is money, you know? So the fear here is that you're not good enough because it's in the second house and you've got no self-worth. And you have no self-worth. So that's the thing with money. With money in the second house, it's about you valuing yourself. When you value you, then the world reflects that back to you. The world starts to value you. If you're finding like there's a lack, right, in terms of money, Libra, or Virgo, I mean, that you need to look at self-worth issues. Look at like, where am I not valuing myself? Where do I think I've got to do this and fight for breadcrumbs, right, with other people, right? Compete and hustle and hassle. It's about you. This is about you. So you got to reframe it, right? It's like, this isn't a money problem. It's a self-esteem problem. It's a self-worth problem that I have to dig out, right? I've got to feel this. So this full moon wants you in balance. And this is Libra. Libra doesn't compete, right? The high frequency of Libra cooperates, right? There's a cooperation, which is completely different than competition. So don't listen to this, right? Because this competition takes you out of your authentic self, and that's where your power is. That's where your wealth is, right? It takes you out of your authentic self. And it's you want to be someone else. Well, I want to be like that person over there. They look successful. I like what they're doing. I'm going to start to compete, right? I'm going to be like them. And you can't compete with another person because you're not them, you know? Or nobody can compete with you because they're not you. You're the best. You are the only one who can be the best you, right? So to let this ego go, you don't have to compete. And it's just about trusting, but you got to feel, Virgo. You have to feel. You've got to feel what it feels like to have no self-esteem and no self-worth. You got to go to the bottom, right? You got to go into the cave and feel it. So let's see what the gift is for Virgo. Daryl's Virgo sun. Right on. Okay, what's the gift for the healing for Virgo? What's the healing for Virgo? It's that one. Having it all. Having it all. So this is looks like a family. And then a little tiny tot out on the swings. Having it all. From competition. So bonding with others, right? Bonding. For the second house, getting out of this competition and seeing the people around you as allies, not competitors, not a threat, right? Not a threat to you and your survival with that second house getting activated. And then having it all. So this can become obsessive, right? This competition and obsession about second house matters, right? And money, just becoming obsessed at night about this, especially with Virgo, right? You guys are worry warts anyway, right? They can be prone to anxiety and up at night worrying about things. It's worry, 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 worry. This could happen. In second house, I mean, that's root chakra, right? It can really stir up your survival issues and and then the ego's in there. Well, you need to do this and you need to do that. And right. Instead of like, I can have it all. I can have it all is saying, oh, I can take care of myself and I can relax and I can trust in myself and my own abilities and my self-reliance. That's a big word for the second house, is self-reliance. That I have everything I need inside me. I have the talents. I have the gifts. I just have to, how do I deliver that? Right? And then the universe is going to let you know this Libra full moon, how you deliver that. And then you can have it all, right? The whole enchilada, not be so focused on survival. And then that's it, right? You can have much more in this lifetime than just getting your bills paid, right? Doing a job, paying your bills. There's much more. You can have it all. So really open up, right? Open up to relate to your relationships and move out of this competition, Yeah. Daryl's saying that it's resonating for me. That's good. Yeah, that's a sneaky ego. Sneaky snake of an ego. That one, competition. Everyone can relate to that. We're taught, right? We're totally conditioned. Our whole educational system is competing with the bell curve, competing with one another. To keep that game going. Okay, there's Scorpio. Let's see where the Scorpios. There we go. The Scorpions. So the shadow of corruption full house is in your 12th house. That's a heavy one, right? The 12th house. So this is an ending. That's the house of endings. So you're completing a cycle, right? And you're about to begin a new cycle. So 12th house stuff. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this goes back to past lives, right? Goes back to past lives, the 12th house. This is your ancestors, right? So there can be some corruption around that. Let me just do a card, just so, because there's a lot in the 12th house, and I can focus in on one particular one. So what Scorpio need to know about the full moon? Libra. It's a balance too between your solitude, it's relaxation time, and work time. Scorpio. And it's the divine house, right? It's the all one. You really have not much control in that 12th house. You just have to surrender. Surrender. Okay. So what does Scorpio need to hear? Oh. Heartbreak. There's a heartbreak here. So this is, you can see there's two figures. He's bothering me. Okay. So there's two figures and they're looking away from one another. And then there's the split heart right there, heartbreak. Okay, in the 12th house. So you may have been isolating yourself, right, with the 12th house. It's all about isolation, hiding. It's behind the scenes, and not dealing with this, with heartbreak. So remember, it's all about relationships, right? So you may have been, you know, going in, licking your wounds. Scorpios love so deeply, you know, it's a very deep, deep sign. And so a harsh breakup that you haven't really dealt with, that you haven't healed. So remember, you know, we have to remember why. I talked about this in the Neptune Jupiter conjunction video about suffering, right? The true purpose of suffering is to open our hearts. So sometimes we have karmic contracts, right? Because this is karma. Karmic contracts with people before we incarnate. And basically they're like, okay, I'll volunteer. Oh, I'm going to be the one to volunteer that gets with you. We fall in love, and then I betray you, right? And then I leave. And then I leave after so long. So what's the karmic contract is to break your heart, right? Because in past lives, it's been so shut down, right? It's been so shut down. It's like, I'm going to be the one to play that role for you, to open up your heart again. So if we resist and isolate, right, and not deal with that pain, not deal with the suffering, because the suffering is about waking you up. It's about waking you up out of the dream, and it's about opening up your heart. So even a death, right, because there can be that energy too in the 12th house. With a death, it's like the greatest honor, right, to honor someone's life if they've died is let your heart be shattered open, right? I think that's why you hear of this, like some babies come in and they're only alive for 6 or 7 months, and the family is like, why did this happen? God's punishing us. It's like the greatest thing you can do for that baby is to let your heart be shattered open by it, you know? So we attract these events to us, right, to heal this broken heart. So that's what I see here, heartbreak. And then take it back to childhood, because that's from 0 to 7, because that's the original heartbreak. That's echoing, right? That's drawing people to you that continually break your heart. Continually. It's like, why is this happening? Why does I keep attracting these people and they keep leaving me, right? And I'm heartbroken. But this cycle's coming to an end, Scorpio, because it's in your 12th house. So really surrender deeply and let your heart be open. Even if it's like, I don't know, I feel like I'm over it. It's like, let it in. That's all you have to do. Let it in. Let that thought in. Like, maybe I'm not over this heartbreak, right? I'm going to open up to it. And then what will come is like back to your childhood where that original heartbreak began. Yeah. So let's see what the gift is for that. And it's bringing you in balance with your relationships, you know? Because the North Node is in Taurus. That's your opposite sign of relationships. So that's where your soul wants you to go, is in relationships, but in a new way, because this cycle is ending, right? So get the lesson. And that's like, let your heart shatter, right? And heal. Okay, so let's see what the gift is for Scorpios. Right? And corruption could come from past lives, that corruption. Maybe you were the one that broke everybody else's heart in past lives. Okay. And what's for Scorpio? What's the healing card for Scorpio? What's the healing card for Scorpio? Oh, I love this one. This is Destiny. You see him? Destiny. His arms are up high, and he's got a nice rainbow coming across his arms in the blue sky, and things are looking good. So this is what's after heartbreak. And the ego has us so afraid of dealing with our broken heart, right? It's the turbulence, right? That shadow of turbulence with Jupiter and Neptune conjunction. And Venus is going to be in there too at the end of the month. right? The ego wants you away from that. You can't do that. You're vulnerable. You're weak, right? It's so frightened of this, but look what's behind it, right? His heart is open. His arms are up. It's totally heart opening. And this brings you to your destiny. And this is like your destined partnership is coming. But letting go of this first, right? Because you're moving out of this cycle in the 12th house and letting the destiny come to you. So you got to prepare whoever this person is that's coming, because it's relationship stuff, right? So just coming into balance, getting your heart and mind and soul in balance. That's beautiful, Scorpio. And just because it's in the 12th house, says it's a long time coming for you. And open up to because it's the North Node, it's in the gift of simplicity, that your partner, it's going to be a peaceful, right? It's not going to be like high voltage drama, what Scorpio usually attracts, right? The drama. Okay, so let's go for the star of the show, Libra. Okay, Libra. Yeah. Okay, Libra. So Libra's the relationship sign anyway, right? And it's in this corruption is in the first house. So right away it's not about your health per se, it's about your appearance. It's about your appearance. So there can be corruption about your appearance. Things that you were taught, that you've inherited from your ancestors, that your appearance is so important. And it's ruled by Venus anyway, right? So Libras are very attuned to their appearance and being attractive in that sense. That just to dig up those roots, right? Of like I'm only valued for my appearance. That I've been taught that I always have to look. I can't step out of the house unless I look. My makeup is perfect and everything is perfect, and I present this perfect image of myself. And as the other day, I was thinking about like the '50s housewife, right? I'm watching The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and it's set in the '50s. She's a comedian, and she was taught by her mother to have her makeup just perfect, never let her husband see her without her makeup on. So she'd get up early and get all her makeup perfect before he saw her. You think the husband would notice that, right? Like, why are you wearing makeup all the time? Don't you take that off? Right? And she'd wait till he goes to sleep, and then she would take it off. But apparently that was true. Right? The women did do that. So just things like that, like what you've been taught about your appearance, putting too much of an emphasis on your appearance, and so that's coming more into balance and harmony, and whatever that looks like for you, right? To not put so much emphasis on your appearance, and the full moon will illuminate that, right? And maybe some of the people in your life, because this is about relationships disappearing and appearing, will disappear. The ones that are just like feeding that, right? That I just love you for your appearance. You're like the trophy, and that's all I really care about. Those people will get the Evo. And so you can bring in the people that are more aligned with your soul destiny. So let's do a card for Libra. Let's do a card for Libra. Okay. Oh, I did Scorpio early. That's why I'm confused. Okay, so what's the card for Libra? What's the card for Libra? Victim. That's a good one. So it's got a guy, right? And his back's to this other person. The other person's stabbing him in the back. So victim. Victim in the first house. Let's do the gift. I want to see the gift here. With corruption. What's the gift for Libra? This is very good for Libras. Let me just turn this phone off. There it goes. Okay. So we got the gift of mastery. And then this victim. So this is digging out the victim consciousness, this corruption that you've inherited from your family, your ancestors, maybe your mother, right? Grandmother, mother, like teaching you that you need to, it's all about your appearance, right? That's what's most important. You may have witnessed that even with your own mother, right? Or your grandmother. And feeling victimized by that corruption. What else is coming up here with the victim in the first house? Actually, maybe actually being victimized, right? Because it's the body. It's the body. Let me do another card for that. Just another conspiracy. Because really victim is like the baseline to all the conspiracies. That victim consciousness. Okay. And then mastery. So what about Libra? Another conspiracy for Libra. Oh. Okay. So we've got the Oedipal, the egos. This is lack of bonding in the family. And then we have victim, corruption in the first house. And the gift is mastery. So this is a lower self nature. This is sexualizing yourself. That's what I see here. Libra rising, moon or sun. Only seeing yourself as a physical object, not seeing yourself as spirit and an eternal soul having human experiences. And it comes from a lack of bonding in your family. And I'm really getting like the information that it really has to do with the mother and the grandmother and this corruption that's been passed down to you, is to really let that go. You know, that you're good enough as you are. Your appearance, don't put so much attention and focus on your appearance or you as a physical body. That's what these two are saying. And that it's making you into a victim, right? You're feeling like victimized, right? Because so you could be out in the world and it's like, oh, these creepy guys are always checking me out, or I get cat calls and things like that. It's like you've got to look at where all this is coming from, you know, to dig out these these roots of corruption. And this is going to bring you into mastery. So self-mastery. And this really means to know yourself, right? Have self-awareness and mastering these lower frequency energies right here. So it could bring up insecurities, right? And fears. Who am I if I'm not this? I'm getting all my attention from being a, sexy woman or whatever, right? Who am I beneath all of this? Well, you're the master, right? It's to let that go. So again, you don't got to figure this out, right? You're going to draw some kind of experience to you, or some awareness will come up for you to like really look at this, like how you're victimizing yourself, right? And limiting yourself, right? To just a body, that you're more than just a body. Yeah. Mastery. Any Libras out there? Let's see anything here. So more in the harmony. Spirit and body. Spirit and body. That you're much more. And then you're going to draw in, the right relationships. Because if you go shallow, because this is all about being shallow, if you go shallow, you're going to attract shallow. That's how it works. I remember one time this yogi friend of mine was like, she was talking about over positive mind in fantasy about men and dating and stuff. And she said, oh, I'm so in love with this guy and we're going to meet, at the park, this big park in Vancouver. And right away, the father comes out in me, right? And it's like, do people know where you're going? Like, let them know where you're going. Take your phone. And she goes, let me show a picture of him. She showed me a picture of him. And it's just a thigh, like a big muscular thigh. And I said, so what do you see in him? Because she was overly focused on the physical, right? The physical attractiveness of him, not really getting to know this guy, right? So that's kind of that energy, like to really let that go, is keeping you in victim. Okay, so we already did Scorpio for some reason. So, but I'll put that in the timestamp. Sagittarius. Oh, we're almost done. The Centaur, Sagittarius. So that is 11. Okay. It's the Libras. Okay. So for Sagittarius rising sun and moon is happening in your 11th house. So this is your house of friendships. So there can be some loss of friends, right? Some friendships. The corruptive programming again is about these karmic patterns, these conditioning patterns of what it means to be a friend, right? What it means to be a friend, and maybe to you, what a friend is for you is somebody that you help. Because right, Sagittarius likes to help. They're very wise, right? Maybe right, and then it's not equal because right. Remember, it's about equality. So maybe you really have people on your caseload. You don't know what a real friend is, right? You've been taught that well, a friend is just I help everybody. I do everything for everybody else, and I have no needs of my own. Well, the full moon's going to show you that. It's going to show you those people that just love you for what you can do for them, right? They don't love you for who you are. And when you need them, you get to see who your friends are when you got to move. That's what I discovered. When you got to move or you got to do something where you need an extra hand, then you see your friends, right? So remember too, right? If you're losing friends, the universe doesn't like a vacuum. So you lose friends, it means there'll be new friends coming in that are more aligned with you. So for Sagittarius, you got to learn to receive. That's what I see. You got to learn to receive from your friends because it can be like a control issue too, right? Like, well, I'm the one that's got it all together. My friends come to me for help. I don't go to them for help, right? And so that dynamic is like there's a payoff. Remember, with the ego, there's always a payoff. And so to be receptive to receiving help from other people, right? You're in a place of kind of vulnerability, and that could be a new place for you, Sagittarius. So really focus on your 11th house. This is hopes and dreams too. The 11th house is hopes and dreams. So maybe some corruptive stuff's going to leave there, like your hopes and dreams aren't really coming from you. You're being overly influenced by your friends with what they want. You think you want that too, right? So to watch that. So let's do a card for Sagittarius. Okay. Do a card for Sagittarius. What's the ego telling Sagittarius? One more. This one. Oh, it's perfect. Perfect for you, Sagittarius. So it's called Not My Job. It looks like Jesus. Not Pierre, Jesus. And then there's another guy with a sack on his shoulder, and he's looking down. Not my job. So what's this saying? This is the people pleaser card. This is the rescuer card, right? In terms of your friendship. It's not your job. It's not your job to fix your friends, right? It's not your job to save them. It's God's job, or it's that person's job to do that for themselves, right? So this is the I need to be needed card, you know? And so this is what you have to do, especially if you've got a lot of guilt coming up anyway. The guilt's already inside you. Like something happened in your past, maybe your childhood, or maybe your core wound is guilt. That's the 5th line. That you're trying to pay off this guilt with your friends. And it's unending, right? It's unending. It won't end by trying to save everybody. So this is saying, not my job, right? The ego is saying, you've got to fix these people. They can't survive without you, right? It's you playing God, right? You're not God. You can't fix everybody. And it's coming at a price, right? So you're going to see this with the full moon in Libra. It's coming at a price. It's not equal, right? The energy has to be equal with the Libra archetype. So yeah, stop doing everybody's job. Stop doing God's job. So look at that, like intuit, like how's that working with my friends? And you'll get the answer, especially for this full moon. Okay, so let's see what the gift is. What's the gift? I'm doing my job. What's the gift for Sagittarius? Not my job. Sagittarius, this is your full moon. This is real. I mean, for all the signs, you're really uncovering something really big, but this one says this is really big. This is completion. Completion. So it's a guy with his arms up in the air and then a nice big tree. Apple tree, it looks like. Completion. So it means you're done with a cycle. You have the opportunity to complete this cycle. This people-pleasing, enabler, codependent, all that shadow side of Libra, right? Relationship stuff, that you can complete this and really bring in new friends, new allies that are aligned with your hopes and dreams, not carrying sacks, these burdens, right? These friends that you've been carrying for so long, right? Opening up to something new and letting them go, right? Not with anger, but with compassion and knowing that we are all in God's hands, right? We're all connected to our own source of energy. So that's really good that this is completing. Yeah. and happy, right? He looks so happy. Completion. Okay, so let's go for Capricorn to finish it off. The goat. The goat. There we go for Capricorn. Capricorn rising, sun or moon. And that's happening. The full moon's happening in your 10th house. Your 10th house. Okay. So 10th house is about your father, right? A father figure, an authority figure in your life. So it could be a boss, could be your partner, who's very like authoritarian father type, or someone in your life that plays that role, that male authoritarian thing. So the corruption, karmic patterns coming from your ancestry around that. And that coming more into harmony, like taking your power back. Maybe you've given your power over to this male authority figure for too long, because it's hierarchy too. The 10th house is about hierarchy. Oh, well, he knows best, right? He knows what's best for me. And then now the Libra full moon is like, no, you gotta claim your own inner authority now. You have to be your own inner authority. Stop giving your authority over to the external world, you know? It's also focusing on your career too. Focusing on your career, your vocation, your soul purpose, and letting go, right? Letting go of this, like, I need somebody else to tell me what to do. I need somebody else to dominate me. And you may say, well, no, I don't do that. That's the last thing I want. But if that person's in your life, you're allowing it. You know, whatever dynamic is happening, you can't go into victim. It's like there's a part of me that's allowing this. And what is it about? It's shirking your responsibilities, right? Because the 10th house is all about responsibilities. So I see a bit of a standing up. Like, I've had enough of this dynamic, right? I'm taking my power back. I'm going to start taking care of myself. I'm going to be my own inner authority now, not you. We're not playing this game anymore, right? So look at your own father, right? Look at your own father and your relationship with your father and how your father was with your mother, and en route, like, pull up the karmic roots with that. Maybe your father, he was the dominant one in the family. He took care of all the money, and then the wife was like, she was the more like a child, right? She was given an allowance. Some men do that. They give their wives an allowance, take care of them, right? It's about you breaking out of that role. And it's really about claiming your masculine energy too. Like remember, it's balance, bringing your masculine and your feminine energy into balance, What else? Let's do a card for Capricorn. Rumi's Capricorn rising, is that right? Yeah. She can relate. And I just want to say, like, have hope for the Capricorn rising sun and moon, is that Capricorn's leaving your first house in a couple years. So it's at the tail end now. But you've been really like reinventing yourself in a big way with Pluto in there. Okay, so let's do a card for Capricorn. What's the ego telling Capricorn? What's the ego telling Capricorn? What's the ego telling Capricorn? This one. Oh. My favorite, the shadow. It's the shadow. So just briefly, the shadow is the part of you that you've judged, you repressed, and then you project onto others. And you do this unconsciously. So this can happen too with just because it's related to the 10th house and father. You know, any prosperity issues or issues around finding your soul purpose or your career, they go back to childhood, these dynamics. If you've got relationship dynamics, they go back to the mother, right? If you have problems accepting your lessons in life, go to the brother, right? Emotional problems, go to the sister. Because we have this family of archetypes within us, but go to like prosperity and career and soul purpose and being out in the world and assertive. Any issues around that, then it's father issues, right? So the father, just with this, could have identified some, like, this is how it can work too. I mean, I could talk forever for the shadow because that's my thing. But your father could have, this is how it can happen, right? A shadow gets formed, created. Could have disapproved of something, like a part of your authentic self. So it could have been your sensitivity. Maybe you're a really sensitive child, but your father disapproved of that, right? And all it takes, it doesn't say, he doesn't have to say, I disapprove that you're so sensitive. It could just be a look, right? Could be a look, could be a comment or teasing, something teasing about your sensitivity, something that gave you the message that this wasn't okay, right? This part of me is not okay. And so what you do is you repress it and you disown it. It's like, my father doesn't like this, doesn't love this part of me, so I'm going to repress it. I'm going to repress it and bury it. And then I'm going to create this persona. This is what the child does. I'm going to create this mask that I wear that hides my sensitivity, right? That I'm not this, right? But meanwhile, you are. And then you meet up with people that maybe are really sensitive, and then you project that onto them. It's right, that judgment, like they're too sensitive or they're weak or whatever it is, right? But it's related to you and your childhood and your relationship with your father. And the thing is that it works both ways, right? Because the parent is going to project their shadow onto the child too. That's this disowned part of themselves. So, right. So if you attract an authoritarian partner per se, it's an echo, right? It's an echo of your childhood, or an authoritarian boss, right? It's an echo of your childhood. Yeah. Okay, let's see what the gift is here. Shadows are very, very fascinating how they get created. And this is what we're in right now, right? We're swimming in the shadow frequency on this planet. We're just projecting our shadows on one another, projecting our group shadows on other groups. We have to start owning our shadows. And shadows always come with fear, right? I won't be loved if I show this part of myself, because when I was a child, I was rejected, right? I wasn't loved for this part of myself, which is you. It's you. Okay. So what's the gift for Capricorn? Right? And Capricorns have that anyway, right? Just that we got a job to do. We got duty, right? It's already in your archetype of Capricorn. It's very masculine, Capricorn. And remember, you got the you got the Jupiter Neptune conjunction in your third house. This is how you communicate. It's how you speak, right? So you're learning to speak emotions, right? So this makes sense that you're tapping into this relationship with your father. Okay, so what's the gift for Capricorn? Centering. I want to do one more. This one. Light. Okay. So we've got the conspiracy, the ego story here of the shadow, right? To project onto others. This has nothing to do with you. Remember, if you have Shadow 101, if you're judging someone else or you're triggered by someone else, you emotionally, your buttons are pushed, you're in shadow frequency. So the gifts here and the way out is centering yourself. Again, this woman in prayer pose, about to do sun salutations, right? In an asana. Not to say that you got to do that, but you go to your own center. So you're centering in your light, right? You're centering your light. Shadow can't live in the light, right? It's like a dark room. The darkness doesn't stay, right? When the lights come on, the darkness goes away. So letting this dissipate, right? Letting this shadow dissipate with the 10th house, and not to project on this authoritarian figure in your life. Don't project that I'm the victim and he's this, right? It's showing you that you're that. You are authoritarian. You are dominating your own self and your own sensitivity. That's what this is showing, right? So to center in your light, that's who you are, right? Not this projection. So we attract people. The way we treat ourselves is the people that we attract in our life are showing us how we treat ourselves, right? So just take that in. If you're attracting this authoritarian male figure in your life, then that you're doing that to yourself, right? To your authentic self. You're dominating your authentic self, right? So, yeah, that's all going to come into balance for the Libra full moon. You're going to see the dynamics. The lights are coming on, right? For this full moon, the lights are coming on for everybody so that we can come more into harmony, so that we can really enter relationships in a really healthy way now. This is all about our relationships. This is the end game, right? Okay, so that's it. M. Baines just quickly says her mom's a Cappy. She probably is going through a massive transformation. At least I pray so we can begin communicating again. Yeah, that's really the only thing that we can do for people. We can't change people. We can't save people, but we can pray for them, right? We can bless them. And it's a very powerful thing to pray for, especially for a family member. It really, yeah, it has power. Prayer has power. Okay. So I just want to thank everybody who stuck around, and I'll process the video and timestamp it when it's all ready for that. And have a wonderful full moon, and really take time for yourself to receive this energy. It's very powerful, this energy that's coming, and we got eclipses coming up, and this train is moving faster and faster. Okay, so Sat Nam Aloha, and I'll see you next video. Bye bye.